Against a black backdrop, the National Park Service arrowhead logo stands above the words Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park. Against a dark green backdrop are the words Kennesaw Mountains, Illinois Monument.
Hello and welcome to Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park. My name is Ranger Amanda and today I'm coming to you from Cheatham Hill, located in the southern part of the park itself. Directly behind me is a wooded area that is actually during the winter time, so there's no leaves on the trees as you can see. And the Illinois Monument, it has a series of steps leading up to the marble monument that has 3 bronze figures on the front. Off to my right is actually a wayside exhibit and a marble marker noting the tunnel that would have been used during the battle here at Kennesaw Mountain. Now today I'm going to talk a little bit about how the park became the park, and it all revolves around the Illinois Monument. Now in 1899, the first 60 acres, which was right here at Cheatham Hill, was purchased by a gentleman named Dowdy. Now he was actually a veteran that served here during that time, and he was part of a unit of men from Illinois who was really trying to save and protect this area because they thought it was the worst that they had encountered in the entire Civil War, and they had seen many battles. Now, the thing is that this idea wasn't new, but was part of their dream to be like other monuments and national parks. See, in 1890, Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park became the very first Civil War battlefield to be preserved, and really the first battlefield in the United States to be preserved, quickly followed by other parks like Vicksburg and Gettysburg. However, the men who fought here also wanted that to become their dream, and so they started with that small purchase. Now, they wanted to place up monuments just like at those other parks, and they started with this one. Now, the thing about it is that they tried to reach out to other veterans who were in the states of Ohio, Indiana, and of course Illinois, in order to raise the money to place monuments on the battlefield. Now, this was at the early turn of the 20th century, and because of that, there was actually some hardships that were falling the men during that time. And even though the veteran organization asked for just $1 from every volunteer or veteran that served here, they could not afford it. And so sadly, the association was unable to raise enough money to place a monument here. So they figured, all right, let's rethink this. Let's go to those 3 states and ask their legislation to receive funding. And so they did. They went to the state legislatures of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And the only one to provide funding was the state of Illinois. Hence, the Illinois Monument. Now, with that, they needed a little bit of help. They didn't quite know what to do. So they're going to send a committee, and they're going to gather some individuals together to make sure that it was what they wanted. Now, of that, I'm going to use my cheat sheet here, and it was the be able to spend only $20,000. Now, at the beginning of the 20th century, that was a lot of money. And so they knew they had to use their money wisely. And so with that, with the $20,000 from the state of Illinois, they're going to be able to create the Illinois Monument, as well as several other markers that are located throughout this area. So if you ever come and visit Kennesaw and you see small markers that kind of look like tombstones, they're actually not graves. They are actually markers put in place because they didn't have enough money to create a monument such as the Illinois Monument. So with that, they actually, and like I said, I'm using my cheat sheet here. They appointed a commission, contracted James Del Becca, which was the architect for the monument, a J. Mario Corbell. He's the one that actually sculpted it, especially those bronze figures on the front. And then the McNeil Marble Company, which was actually located right here in Marietta, Georgia, and they were going to erect this monument. Now, the monument itself, I gave a brief description right at the beginning, but it actually stands 25 feet tall, and it's actually 18 feet wide by 19 feet and 8 inches in its dimensions. So it's a fairly large monument there, and it's made of Georgia marble. So this monument really encompasses not just the Union troops that fought here, but really all of the troops, and really want to bring it even here to the state of Georgia. So it's strategically placed as well. Where it's located is actually at the point where the Union reached. If they had moved it back just a little bit further, they would have been on the other side of the Confederate earthworks. Well, they didn't want to demonstrate that they had defeated the Confederates and broke through that Confederate line. So they wanted to place it strategically to indicate the furthest point that they reached here at what would become Cheatham Hill. Now, in addition to that, you have 3 bronze statues, life-size figures that are in front. And in the middle of those 3 statues, or those 3 monuments, or I'm sorry, those 3 figures, is a Union soldier. So he has his rifled musket with him, and he is standing what looks to be at parade rest, and he has a kepi, or a small cap, on his head. And then he is actually flanked by 2 women. Now, the women on my right hand side, or the lady on my right hand side, she is, or both of them are actually in Grecian garb, so kind of ancient clothing, and she's just standing there. A lot of times people think that she might represent peace, so she is a figure of peace. And then on the left hand side, or my left hand side, there is another woman, and she's actually holding a bronze plaque. And if you are able to look very closely to that plaque, you'll notice that it is actually the state seal for the state of Illinois. So some people think that she might be Liberty, but I draw the conclusion that she's supposed to represent Illinois because of the plaque that she is holding. So they flank that soldier. Above it is a wreath and laurel, and it says Illinois right above those figures, and that's in marble. And then directly above, you have the symbol for with the federal eagle, and actually the federal eagle has its wings outstretched. Now that eagle has had to have some repair, because in 1986 it was actually knocked off, and so it fell completely to the ground, and so they had to actually repair that in order to make get it back to original stature. And there's also a variety of information about the architect and the design along the side, as well as some of the men who fought here. Of course, Dan McCook is also listed on the monument, even though he was from the state of Ohio. Directly below the figures right here it says dedicated on June 27th, 1914. That was actually the 50th anniversary for the battle that took place, so it was dedicated on the 50th anniversary here, and this really brought the community together. So when they had the dedication in 1914, it's still a lot of hostility here. You have that lost cause taking place, and a variety of laws restricting those of African descent still in place in the South. However, it was still trying to bring the community together of North and South. And so the dedication had soldiers, had veterans from both the Confederate and the Union that were here. The governor from Illinois came and gave a very elaborate speech, as well as the governor of Georgia. He was also located here. Many officials from the town of Marietta, the daughters of the Confederacy, the daughters of the American Revolution, if I remember correctly, were also here. Union, Confederate veterans, as I mentioned. People were encouraged to bring picnics and enjoy their time here. Our previous park historian said he actually met a lady who came as a child, and she remembered many boring speeches and good lemonade. So there was still that memory as a child only would, even as a little older lady. And so they really wanted to bring the community together to remember what took place here, and actually scarred the landscape that we now know as Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park. Now, the park itself did not officially become designated as Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park until 1935, and that designation, I'm sorry for stumbling, actually was due to Congress. And so with that, it became the part of the park that you now know and love today. So if you ever get a chance to come here to Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park, please come to Cheatham Hill. This is the location where the deadliest portion of the attack took place, but also to come see our beautiful Illinois monument here at Kennesaw Mountain. We hope you've enjoyed this time with me today, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Remember to always check us out on social media or contact us directly. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.
Against a dark green backdrop are the words, "Thank you for joining us." Please visit our social media sites for more programs about Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park.